Pigeon poverty. Dan Thor discovers there's more to roost shooting than just being in the right place at the right time.
What I'll tell you, it's a waste of time. You tell them at the start of the evening, do not do this, do that, and it'll just be a waste of time.
Strong and sable. How one British MP is getting it wrong on antelope. I'm stalking one of them in South Africa. An antelope, that is, not an MP. And gun licensing is trying to get back on track. 2 years after the Plymouth shootings, police firearms licensing departments actually come to the British shooting show.
We've got big backlogs in our department. We're struggling on a number of levels. And this is our opportunity to explain, engage, and provide a service to the community that we're here to support.
Ian Hodge asks, what's the best rimfire for 2023? We're giving away an IcoTec Rascal priced at £99 from Best Fox Call. David has the news on the new stump. James has the best hunting YouTube videos on hunting YouTube from the 2023 Safari Club International Convention in Nashville, Tennessee. Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. As soon as the game season is over, Dan Thor and his mates can't wait to get out roost shooting. It looks like there are plenty of pigeons about, but there is a vital ingredient missing: wind. They're hoping to make a good bag regardless.
During February, it's tradition to obviously go out every Saturday to get on top of the pigeons. The numbers have crept in slowly through the year, but the last 3 weeks, there's been literally thousands turn up, and the rape seems to be getting a bit of a hammering at the moment. So Ted obviously wants the beaters once again to get out, get stuck into the woods, spread about and try and thin a few out. So we all meet back at the farm. On a Saturday, we'll probably get there about 2:30. We'll all have a little chat and a catch up. Then hit the woods about 3 o'clock and obviously till the last daylight drops out and yeah, pitch black takes over. So normally it's pretty good. Like I say, it's a little bit early at the moment, but once the night creeps in, we should do a little bit better.
With a huge wood to choose from, Dan's experience helps him pick the best spot.
Where we're standing now, there's quite a lot of pigeon mess around and feathers, and obviously find a decent gap above you, because you don't want to be shooting through trees and losing a lot of pellet out the cartridge. So yeah, also I just love to have a gap just above my head there. I've got a lot of foliage around me so the birds can't see me. A lot of birds will sort of notice city trees, and that's what I was taught as a youngster for a lot of older people. They'll always follow taller trees as city trees. So we're standing underneath like a tall ash right now, and as you can see, each bird that's come in so far where we've been have been landing in these taller trees before they're nipping in lower. So yeah, I like to try and surround myself around them trees, and hopefully they'll follow that path and we can get a few shots. See the height of them, James? See, they're slowly creeping in. If Rob don't shoot them, they're getting low, you see? See them just folding up, look?
Yeah.
So they're committing, these birds now.
Yeah, well, they're wanting to be, aren't
they? Yeah, their wings are folded back. But it's just if someone shoots them. Yeah. There we go. Just as I say.
Dan's wearing his favourite jackpike clothing, and if he gets to use it, he's shooting his Maruku MK38, the same gun he used a couple of weeks back on Beaters Day.
I try and stick with the same gun now. Like I said, when we was pheasant shooting, there was a day when I'd chop and change constantly, but I think the only way you're going to get better at shooting is by sticking with the same gun. Obviously, I changed my cartridges up. I mean, I've got a bit of a mixed bag today, but yeah, I'll probably just stick with like a 29 gram 6 or something, and I've got some steels out as well to try. Let's see if we can get some pigeons turn up. I mean, there seems to be thousands around, but like I say, it's early and they're a million miles away at the moment, so hopefully they'll start coming in as we go.
The birds are starting to appear, but they're staying high. Dan's worried that his mates will shoot too early and scare the pigeons away before they come into range.
We've got Rob Tweed over to my right-hand side. I mean, this is a massive wood. Got Rob and Riley straight in front of us, probably a good 150 yards in front, and then Rob and yeah, probably another 12 of his mates are out, which are spread all over the farm. But obviously you've got the likes of Rob trying to shoot everything a million miles away. We're never going to get anything. Look at this lot coming in, look. There is literally thousands of them there. Look at that. See the height of them though, James? Just extreme. They would never be that high with good wind. You'd never see them that high. You can see them birds are folding up. They're just having a little last look round. then everyone's shooting them. There we go. What'd I tell you? It's a waste of time. You tell them at the start of the evening, do not do this, do that, and it'll just be a waste of time. Everyone's banging, as you can hear in the background, so everyone making a noise will just push them pigeons higher and higher and higher. And what they normally do, if you can keep still and keep quiet, like some of these now, they'll creep in and they'll circle. They'll come over, take a little scout, head back out, then they'll start coming lower and creep in, like this one. Just jittered again, but yeah, they'll seem to get lower. And I like to say to people, just shoot them tree height, a little bit above. There's no point in shooting at stuff a million miles away, because they'll get to know where you are and they'll just bugger off. And especially shooting at big gangs as well, that's something I won't shoot at. I like to just pick out the odd groups of 10 and below, nothing in big groups, because you're only educating as well. The stuff you're shooting at's too high. You want to let them come in, not too high.
No, Dan, I'm having them swoop down low. See this corner where I am? It's the nuts, mate.
Well, it's a bit quiet.
Where I am.
It's a bit quiet here.
Mate, there's what, come up where I am.
There's more coming, have it?
That's all right.
There's more coming anyway. Enjoy yourself and we'll see you soon.
At least that's one in the bag, and the crop contents prove it's been feasting on the farmer's oilseed rape. But it is still nowhere near as busy as Dan was hoping.
Normally you'd hear shots galore all around, all the time, every year. Like crazy amount of shooting. But it all depends whether people are in the neighbouring farms. Right. Standing in them woods, you know. No good. If you have that decent wind, decent bit of wind, and that keeps them low, it just keeps them low. You don't get none of that ridiculously high stuff. It keeps them low, tree height all the time.
The light is going fast now, and the pigeons have stopped coming. Dan's total is a paltry 4. Largely down to the lack of wind.
Picked 4, just a million miles high.
Yeah,
a million miles high. I didn't bother shooting it, I think.
First shot, first kill.
Yeah, good.
Well
done.
Right.
How many shots you have? I had 2 can crows down right above my head, and James see him and I didn't. Still loads in that crop, look.
Full up, isn't it?
Yeah. Right, do we get to the yard now, shall we? And see all the rest of the boys.
It's been a frustrating evening, but good to get out, and there will be other days when the wind is better. To find out more about Browning and Maruku guns, go to browning.eu, and for Jack Pike clothing, see jackpike.co.uk. Thank you, Dan. Now, this week's prize is a foxcaller, the IcoTec Rascal, priced at £99 from Best Foxcall. Here is Rob Crampton to explain what it is.
It's a Bluetooth only caller, so anything you can play on your phone, you can play through this.
If you want to know how to enter the draw, you can find out on the Fieldsports Nation's very own TV show, Fieldsports Extra, which is out on Tuesdays. And to watch Fieldsports Extra, the easiest way is to join the Fieldsports Nation. It's a £5 a month, as 100 of you did at the British Shooting Show. Thanks very much to them. Next to our own squealing bunny, it is David on the Fieldsports Channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. The inquest into the shootings in Plymouth in August 2021 has made its recommendations. It calls for the shotgun certificate to be scrapped and shotguns to go on firearms certificates as Section 1 guns, the same as most bolt-action rifles. It also suggests a hike in charges for certificates. The government has not commented on the findings and is unlikely to bring in new laws before a 2024 election. The inquest heard that police granted the killer Jake Davison his certificate despite his history of violence. More on this story later in the show. Police have arrested a man after a horse collided with a hunt saboteur. Police arrested the man on suspicion of attempting to cause grievous bodily harm. The arrest came after Sabs posted footage online of the incident in Rutland. The group had been filming the Cottesmore hunt when it happened. Leicestershire police say the hunt saboteur, a woman in her 60s, did not suffer serious injuries during the incident. An auntie has won a landmark ruling that his beliefs are a religion. The SAB claims he was sacked from a garden centre when his bosses discovered what he did at weekends. A judge ruled his anti-hunting views are a philosophical belief under employment law and that sacking him is discrimination. The auntie claimed he was sacked a day after his footage helped to convict the late celebrity, chef Clarissa Dixon Wright, of going hair coursing. A judge says the auntie's deeply held beliefs about the environment, animal rights, veganism and opposition to hunting should be protected under 2003 rules on religious equality at work. Thanks to Richard Walton for the story. Anglers in Kent are fighting to save a fishing spot. Ashford Borough Council says it cannot afford to dredge a moat at a farm it owns, so instead it plans to ban fishing there after almost 25 years. Kings North Parish Council is running the petition to save the site, which has been fished since 1996. The council says it has the money to relocate the fish to what it calls a more suitable location.
Not only have the people that are concerned in the lakes got up in arms, but also the local council, the parish council, all of them are saying, look at this again. Angling is a vital segment to the well-being of the community, and it's a wonderful thing just to feel calm for a few moments.
Two wildlife groups who hope to release 40 to 60 wildcats into the southwest have a battle on their hands. The Royal Zoological Society of Scotland and Devon Wildlife Trust say they cannot guarantee that the animals are purebred wildcats, leading to accusations they are adding to the feral cat population. Locals fear the cats will add to the predator burden on songbird and ground nesting bird populations, as well as posing a threat to chickens. Scottish reintroduction programmes have hit the same problem. DEFRA says it is developing a code of practice, it claims, to ensure the cats' safety. Gamekeepers are welcoming research that heather burning is a great tool to stop wildfires. The National Gamekeepers Organisation says the research by York University calls into question the government's previous policy of trying to ban or licence muirburn. The university has completed 10 years of a 20-year study into heather management for protecting carbon-rich peatlands. The findings show that the burning and mowing of small patches of heather supports increased vegetation. This goes against studies funded by the conservation industry and adopted by the government limiting muirburn in England.
We will be able to keep burning in the toolbox, which is what we've wanted all the time. The benefits on the ground for flora and fauna are obvious, but equally we get the wildfire situation, which, as we saw last year over every habitat type in the UK, has increased. And that is what we need to do, is fight the wildfire risk. And if we can do that, and it goes hand in hand with nature recovery, then it's a good for everything.
It's your last chance to take part in the Aim to Sustain surveys. Helping to make the case for self-regulation in game shooting, the deadline is looming at the end of February. The 5-minute surveys are for game rearers, game shoot managers and shooters. Follow the link below. Dominic Bolton of Aim to Sustain says it's important shooters speak up for their rights.
Because the shooting season is a busy time for many of us, the survey has been extended to the end of February. So if you shoot or play a role in running a shoot, you still have another week to complete the survey if you haven't already done so. High standards and credible self-regulation are the foundation of a strong defence of game shooting. So if you want to help protect the future of our sport, click on the link and don't miss out on your chance to have your say. It only takes 5 minutes.
Shooting birds with lead is now banned on or near wetlands in the European Union. The European Commission regulation across 27 EU countries, plus Iceland, Norway and Liechtenstein, means shooters will have to use non-toxic ammunition such as steel, bismuth or other non-toxic metals within 100 metres of wetlands. The Commission says it hopes countries will enforce the ban. The European Chemicals Agency is pushing for bans on lead bullets and lead weights in angling. In the UK, the government has delayed its plans to restrict lead ammunition to allow for further consultation. One of South Africa's largest rhino breeding and conservation projects is up for auction in April. Operating since 2009, privately owned Platinum Rhino currently protects more than 2,000 southern white rhinos on an 8,500 hectare fenced estate, founded by John Hume. He says the ideal buyer is a person or foundation with a passion for conserving rhinos that includes continuing the breeding project. It is home to more than 16% of the southern white rhino population in South Africa. It supports hunting tourism and it breeds 200 animals a year and releases 100 rhinos back into the wild. And finally, a new children's book celebrates the adventures of a working dog that hunts rabbits with a farmer. Yasmin Salah has written and illustrated the book about a whippet called Luna, which is based on her own dog. The artist says she wants to give youngsters an insight into field sports. If it's successful, she's hoping to produce a series of children's books on country life. See link below. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Buying shooting kits? Then head to Kit Finder and our team will help you find the right product at a fair price from dealers all over the UK. Kit Finder, the shooting kit comparison website.
Thank you, David. Later in the show, Deborah Hadfield finds out how police firearms licensing units can improve their service, which she filmed at the British Shooting Show. And the British Shooting Show was not all about shiny new retail kit. I caught up with our fuddy-duddy gun collecting expert, Diggory Haydock.
The British gun trade is very much alive and kicking. What it needs is new blood.
Even he found interesting kit there, and there's a link to his interview below. Next up, I was away in South Africa fishing last week, and while I was there, my hosts kindly gave me a hunt. Here's what happened. Sable antelope, one of Africa's animals that are still around thanks to hunting tourism. Today I'm after the old bull, the original bull in this herd. It is 6 years old. Here's one of the people who looks after it and its family, Bain-Marie Duplessis.
We have about 6,000 hectares and there's about 1,000 antelopes walking here. It was actually a cattle farm before any wild was there. We started with 3 sables 10 years ago.
You can see how the herd has grown since then. Like most wildlife in southern Africa, paid for by hunting. But this herd is under threat. I am in the northern Cape of South Africa, thousands of miles away from London. But in London, my MP, Rebecca Pow, who is MP for Taunton in Somerset, wants to stop me from being here.
Our aim is to make sure that our imports are not piling impossible pressures onto species that are already at risk. And for these species, an import ban without exemptions will be the most effective.
She is trying to bring in a ban on hunting tourism all the way here in South Africa. Not in England, Wales, Scotland or Northern Ireland, but in South Africa. What Rebecca Pow plans to do is ban trophy imports from Africa to the UK, which will reduce this area's income from hunting. That means landowners here will get rid of game and replace it with cattle. You can see cattle here on the other side of the fence that goes around this hunting estate, which is the size of the whole of Cannock Chase in Staffordshire, or around 2/3 of the Pentland Hills in Scotland. Almost all of the land around here is either farmland for livestock or hunting land for big game. On this estate, there's a plain below a range of hills in the centre of the hunting area, and that's where we find our bull.
We've seen the sable, so we know where it is. So we're just gonna walk and stalk it and then, see if we can get a shot on it. So he is old now, and I think it's time for new bloodlines to come in.
If I were coming from Europe or America and I wanted to hunt a sable bull, how much would it cost me?
Well, it can go up to $10,000.
$10,000 pays for a lot of game management and anti-poaching measures on ground like this. As she tries to defend the government backing a trophy import ban, Rebecca Pow muddles legal, regulated hunting with poaching.
And we are spending a further £100 million in our Biodiverse Landscape Fund and £30 million on action on illegal wildlife trade.
That's £130 million to go on illegal wildlife trafficking and poaching that is usually paid for by hunting tourism. But Rebecca would rather spend taxpayers' money. Back to our search for the sable bull. Ben Marie has given me a Heim bolt action in 375 Holland and Holland, and I check the trigger by dry firing it. A sable is a tough animal to bring down. She assures me that while sables are tough, this will not be the hardest hunt in the world. But when we get to where we first saw the bull, it has vanished.
We don't see him anymore, so he's probably moved places.
We cast around in all directions. It has disappeared. We walk across the plain and into and down a dry riverbed, and that's where we spot it. It gave us the slip behind cover of rocks.
Okay, so we took a drive again to see if we can spot them. Then we spotted him, and when we came here, he moved again. So, but we have him now. Hopefully he'll stand so we can get a shot on him.
We ambush the animal as it emerges. Ben Marie guides me to the right place to shoot.
Thank you.
The 375 does the job. We walk over and Ben Marie checks the antelope for life by touching its eyeball with her shooting sticks.
Okay, so first when we saw him, he wasn't there when we went to stalk him. Then we went to search for him, then we found him.
That is the story of every hunt, really.
Then he went missing again, but luckily then we found him, so we got you on the sticks and you took the shot.
He was walking, he was on his way somewhere, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. I think he was grazing and just having a good day.
Yeah, well, until now, obviously.
Until now.
Yeah. Do you feel sad?
Maybe a little bit, but not too much. He's not suffering, at least, so he's dead.
Yeah, okay,
He's not suffering.
so nice and quick.
Yes, nice and quick.
And what was his life like out here?
Well, I think he had a really great life, a peaceful life, and he was always grazing, there was always enough food and water, so I think he had a good life.
And girls?
And girls, yeah, a lot of girls.
And how many of his offspring does he leave behind?
I don't know, maybe about 60.
He's a father of 60?
Maybe, yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ben Marie spots where the bull has been injured in a fight. We're not the only ones who reckon it is past its prime. Other bulls have been having a pop at it too.
You can see here is a bit of battle scars because the young bulls challenged him because he's a bit old now, so it was his time to go.
We load the animal into the bakkie to take it away for butchering. Of course, the meat is used, despite what Rebecca Powell's anti-hunting extremist friends like to tell her. Unfortunately, the horns are the only parts of the animal that will probably go to waste. I will use the trophy scan system to 3D print them when I get home, making Rebecca's efforts to ban trophy imports to the UK pointless. Link to that system below, and it will be the subject of a future film. In the meantime, Ben Marie warns us all to check for ticks.
This is a tick, and you usually pick them up in the field or in the animals that we shoot. But if this tick bites you, you can actually get tick fever, and some people die of the fever.
So we've got to watch out for that one.
You have to watch out for these ticks.
Who is the conservation hero here? Is it Ben Marie or is it Rebecca Powell? I'll let you decide that. I'm a pretty obvious Conservative voter, but I am not going to vote for Rebecca Powell at the next election.
Why? Because whatever Rebecca thinks she wants, maybe animals such as these, she's going to end up with these, and that is a tragedy. This ranch is managed by the Northern Cape Professional Hunting School, where Ben Marie trained and now works. If you want to learn how to work with African big game, check the link in the description below.
Thank you, the Northern Cape Professional Hunting School. Next up, back to the UK and gun licensing. It might be that the 2023 British Shooting Show marks a watershed in how police treat us shooters. Deborah Hadfield finds out more.
Face to face, finally. Firearms licensing officers from 3 police forces, Devon and Cornwall, West Mercia and Warwickshire, went to the 2023 British Shooting Show to meet shooters. They were there to help with variations and offer practical advice on how to navigate the licensing maze. Some of them had some explaining to do about their poor service during the past 3 years.
It's really positive, honestly. In spite of the backlogs and in spite of the frustrations, everybody's been really positive. It's about positive engagement. Obviously, during COVID, there wasn't enough physical contact with our community, within the gun community. We've got big backlogs in our department. We're struggling on a number of levels, and this is our opportunity to explain, engage, and provide a service to the community that we're here to support.
As you can see from the rear of us, it's been absolutely phenomenal. They've really enjoyed, as constabularies, they've really enjoyed themselves, and I think the direct engagement has really played dividends. Just on variations alone yesterday, a little bird told me that we have, by 12 o'clock, we had done the equivalent in variations of a week's worth of work, which I thought was quite amazing. It's been really well received, and I think the beauty about that is they've now realised the importance of it.
Gamekeeper Jay Phipps came up from Dorset just to collect his variation, which meant it took 6 days, not 6 months.
I like to interact with people face to face. I know who I'm dealing with. I can see them. I can talk to them. I like interacting with people.
I work a lot of hours. My team work a lot of hours, and it's good to feel that positivity. And I got to say, I'm feeding off it, and I'll certainly be taking it back when I go back in 3 days' time.
Shooter Mark Whittaker inquired about his variation with West Mercia Police at the shooting show.
Much easier than trying to do it over the telephone. It's fine picking up the phone and speaking to somebody in an office, but if you can have a personal interaction with somebody one-to-one at something like a shooting show, where they are here because they are interested in shooting, it's a much more personal interaction, and I think it's very beneficial both for us to understand our certificate holders and for the certificate holders to get to know us.
Some of the forces have some real issues on delays, so it's an opportunity for people to actually say, got some difficulties here, and it gives a chance for the force to explain what they're doing, how they're moving that forward. But it's also, I've always thought good relations between firearms licensing departments and the shooting community is really important. I think, as head of firearms at BASC, I want the best relationships possible because that's how you get things done.
Former Metropolitan Police detective and Fieldsports Nation member Ian Jensen says it's important that police work more closely with shooters. He says many forces are struggling with a lack of resources.
There's a degree of remoteness between the police and shooters, and I think shooters aren't really certain why the licensing unit's there. Is it there to stop people having guns? Is it there to make sure only the right people have guns? Is it there to make sure, what is it there for exactly? Is it just a registration system, or is it there to stop? So I think people might get a better understanding exactly why they're there and what the purpose of a licensing organisation is.
The face-to-face sessions in Birmingham happened just ahead of the results of the inquest into the shootings in Plymouth in 2021, when 5 people died. The jury heard that the mass shooter Jake Davison had a history of violence. Despite this, the police granted him a certificate. The inquest jury said catastrophic failures within Devon and Cornwall's firearms licensing unit led to an unsafe culture, and the force had failed to protect the victims and the wider public. The jury made recommendations, including calling for the shotgun certificate to be scrapped and shotguns to go on firearms certificates. It also suggests an increase in charges for certificates.
There has been an utterly tragic incident. It's been dealt with away from here, and we are doing everything we can to keep everybody safe and in lawful possession.
BASC says the firearms licensing system in England and Wales needs a major overhaul. It says it's largely unprofessional, overburdened and poorly resourced. A Cinderella service that is putting public safety at risk.
I would like to say things are improving. It is a little bit of a situation of, light at the end of the tunnel, jam tomorrow. But Debbie Tedds, who's the chair of Felwig, is certainly trying to move forward with the College of Policing, producing, hopefully, professionalising the actual service. They're talking about accreditations for FEOs, much better use of decision-making models. So I think anything that professionalises it has got to be good. The downside is, we are still in a situation where there are, I think there are probably 7 forces which have over 1,000 Section 7 permits. That's never a good situation.
In Scotland, police oversee firearms licensing centrally, and there are fewer issues.
Without being too critical of English forces, I think one of the main advantages that Scotland has is the fact that it's now one police force. So it amalgamated a number of years ago. Whereas in England you've got a number of forces with different policies, all sort of doing their own thing. And inevitably they're going to have different ways of doing things, which causes backlogs. But in Scotland we've got one police force, we've got one policy, we've got one training course for all the FEOs. So I think it just generally works better.
Well, what's interesting, and we spoke to a senior police officer last night, a really decent guy. And I think your policemen are out there, their task is to keep society safe. And I think genuinely that what they're trying to do, I worked quite a bit with police officers, I was a special constable for years, my wife was a cop. I know there's a lot of decent people in uniform in this country trying to do their best for us all. If they suffer anything, they're short of resources. And I think also they live in the same political minefield that you and I do. With the best intentions, they're being nipped at all the time. So what I took from the discussion last night is that they're keen to talk, they're keen to help, but we have to bear in mind that their task is keeping society safe. And because of that, there has to be things that they need to do.
The sessions at the British Shooting Show allowed shooters to get help by meeting officers in person. They're a welcome contrast to the crackdown that happened after the shooting in Plymouth, where Home Secretary Priti Patel introduced new statutory guidance that led to police seizing guns from ordinary shooters across Devon, Cornwall and Dorset. Almost all of the gun seizure victims who told their story to Fieldsports News have now had their guns back. Devon deerstalker Andrew Elgar's case comes up in April 2023, and he still doesn't know what he's done wrong because the police won't tell him. The police force outreach at the British Shooting Show won't help Andrew, but it's a step in the right direction.
Thanks all who took part in that. While at the British Shooting Show, I uncovered another problem of having Home Secretaries who don't understand guns. I met these 2 people who are from South Africa who now live in the UK and can't get a certificate because they can't produce medical records. Gun licensing is becoming a farce. Now, from pieces of paper to the actual rifles themselves, let's talk about Rimfires.
Yeah, the Rimfires are still good sellers for us. Generally a starter gun, somebody that's new to rifle shooting, especially for our sort of customer around here, it's 95% pest control. The police like them to start off with a smaller rimfire to get them used to handling a gun and so on. So we've got here we got a 2.2 and we got the 1.7 HMR, which are both very popular guns. Still popular. People still like them. So it's all good news for us if it keeps guns moving.
Now, the ones you've chosen, are they your 2 biggest sellers in Rimfire?
They're very popular. The T-bolt is very popular. It's nice and short. I know they're more or less the same length, but you can get some of the older rifles. They tended to go for a long barrel, and that seemed to have gone out the window a bit for pest control. A lot of shooting now takes place out of a gator or a truck, so they like a small barrel just for it's easier to handle the gun. No noticeable effect on accuracy for the distance that you're shooting with these. That's a Ruger semi-automatic. That's the most reliable semi-automatic I think there is. We do sell lots of them. I think we're the biggest Ruger dealer in the southwest at least. So these do sell well for us. And £520 with that scope and a moderator, you've got a lot of gun there. Just going by the name semi-auto, you only got to keep pulling the trigger. The trouble with keep pulling the trigger is you you do get the adrenaline up, and you probably tend to get less accurate as you get through the shots. So if you're firing fast shooting. So great fun as a target gun, put some targets up, see how fast you can hit them. And good if you are absolutely inundated with rabbits, that you can bang, bang, bang without fussing around too much. But like anything, you talk to any soldier, any infantryman, the faster you fire the gun, the less accurate you get. So it's got its place, but it's probably not as accurate as a bolt action. But it is good fun. On subsonic ammunition, some of them will jam, and there's no particular ammunition that is particular to any gun or to Ruger. Some people will come in with a Ruger and the bullets they got absolutely perfect. We'll then recommend those bullets to somebody else and the gun will jam. But as long as you keep the gun clean and it's relatively new, if you've got a 25-year-old gun, it'll probably jam a little bit more often. But we get very few issues now. And it's how you look after the bullets as well. Keeping them in an old ammo cabinet in the garage with extreme temperatures, hot and cold, doesn't do the bullets any good. That goes for any ammunition and cartridges. So it's how you look after the ammunition as well.
The T-bolt, is that a straight pull as well?
It's a straight pull, yeah. It's so it's there and back, there and back. There's no up and down, so it's less fussing around with it as such. It's been around in various forms for quite a number of years now, a very long time. But it's been remodelled and redone and just made a little bit more. And it's in synthetic now, or plastic. So it's a very practical gun. It's lovely. You can wipe these down if you get a little bit muddy. Lightweight. It's really a good top seller for us, and people like to handle it. It's a little bit small for some people. We've got some people with massive hands and so on. They'll find it as a bit like a toy, but for most people, they absolutely love it. And it's like I say, it's really popular.
Between the two of them, I mean, who's going to buy the Browning? Who's going to buy the Ruger?
It's whatever takes a person's eye, really. Somebody who thinks they've got a lot of rabbits and need to control them probably would go for that. Or if somebody just is not going to shoot anything living, any quarry, only target shooting, they would generally go with that. Yeah, the 1022 is a general purpose all-round one. Very simple, easy, and good fun to use. And 2.2 ammunition is relatively cheap, so you can fire it.
But the 1.7, the T-bolts, is that a tiny bit more specialist?
Yeah, the 1.7 round generally, obviously you can shoot out further. It's flatter trajectory, so you can knock stuff down that little bit further, double what the 2.2 is, and completely straight, and it's very easy to shoot. The bullets are more expensive, quite a bit more expensive, but I say to people, you don't actually shoot as many because you don't miss as much, because it is completely straight as opposed to going up and down. So yeah, the 1.7, and it's certainly, it knocks them down. The rabbits, there's no walking away from it for them.
And people use them on foxes as well.
Yeah, I've dropped foxes, hit them in the wide of the chest, and they'll go down as if you're hitting them with a centre fire, and not quite as messy.
You also sell, I mean, other 2.2s here. You've got Savages, you've got CZs. I mean,
Yep.
What are your top sellers?
I don't think we've got a top seller anymore, really. They're all more or less the same. Yeah, once upon a time, the CZ, every 20 guns we sold, 18 of them would have been the CZ. That has altered. The other makes have upped the game, or whether they had better distributors, shall we say, and they marketed it more and advertised more. I wouldn't say we've got one now that is a go-to one. The CZ is still very popular because it's so reliable, but there's no one that stands out any longer.
Thanks, Ian. And one more thing from the British Shooting Show. I had the great pleasure of spending somebody else's money there. Airgun retailer Crackshot agreed to repay the whole cost of the receipt from one of its sales, and the winner I picked had spent £1,000, so I hope they were happy.
It's going to cost you, Eric. That's not big again.
My deep apologies to Eric, who runs Crackshot. I expect that's the last time I'll get that gig. Now from kit to the wider world of hunting and shooting on YouTube. It is Hunting YouTube.
This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the best hunting and shooting videos that YouTube has to offer. First this week, TGS Outdoors pulled out the stops and within hours of the doors closing had produced this report from the British Shooting Show, with Johnny and friends checking out the most interesting new products at the NEC. Next, Paul Childerley and Andy Crow take on some superb high pheasants at the famous Pigeons shoot in the Snowdonia National Park in this lovely film from Jack Pike. Meanwhile, in the States, Casey and Josh from Hunt Stand go in search of Aoudad, a type of wild sheep native to Africa in the grueling high desert country of Texas. On the other side of the world, hunting guide J.E. Wilds takes a helicopter ride into the mountains of New Zealand to hunt deer in the snow. More mountain hunting, this time in Pakistan. They're walking up black partridge over pointers, then cooking it up on the campfire. And very tasty it looks too. Back home in the UK, Mark Yaler is out after rabbits with his 1.7 HMR and Sightmark Wraith. He solves a mysterious problem with accuracy, fills the pot and gets 3 bonus foxes too. Big Dan's Airguns reviews the AccuMax, a budget Springer from ASI, and he's impressed with how smoothly and accurately it shoots. He tries a variety of pellets and gets some surprisingly good groups for £150 airgun. Finally, a bit of ferreting action with Rabbit Express in Yorkshire on a wet and windy day, with the dogs Suki and Rex sweeping up any rabbits that slip through the net for a total of 31. That's it for this week. We've put all these films into a playlist for you. Click on the I symbol top right or check this film's description. If you have a YouTube film you'd like us to pop into the weekly top 8, email Charlie the link, charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv.
Well, that's it for this week. If you haven't done so already, please whiz over to our website, fieldsportschannel.tv. You can click to like us there on Facebook and on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, pop your email address into our register page and we'll contact you about this show, Fieldsports Britain. It's at 7 p.m. UK time every Wednesday. And this has been Fieldsports Britain from Nashville, Tennessee. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and goodbye.